Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make this broken china Mudlark pendant. It has a great organic look and feel because I use the natural broken shape of the china shard. This is a piece of china that was buried in the ground for years and years, so it has some weathered edges that give it a rustic artifact feel. Now, I usually do a voiceover on my workshop videos, but for this one I didn't. Voiceovers can sometimes cut out all of the little things I say when I'm teaching, so I left the original audio on this video. Welcome back, friends, and if we haven't met, I'm Laura Beth Love, and I'm an artist and Penguin Random House author, so be sure to check out my jewelry instruction books, and you'll find the links for those below. Okay, so what I want to do today is I want to make a piece of jewelry out of this really cool shard of blue willow china, and it has a curve in it. It doesn't sit flat. It's kind of from like the part of the plate that has that thick foot on it. And as you can see, this is a piece that was plucked from the earth, a really old shard. So I want to keep it like just how it is. I love the design, I love the motif, so I'm going to do a setting for this. So let's try. I'm going to be using square wire. This is silver filled 22 gauge, and I had this, it's really dusty. I've had it for a long time and I never used it, and I want to start using some of the supplies that are sitting around my workshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these nylon jaw wire straightening pliers, and I'm going to just kind of pull that through, and it straightens it out pretty well. We're going to measure pieces that are about, I'd say, like 1 1/2 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold that up to 1 1/2, mark it with my finger, and I'm going to cut it off with the pliers. Okay, and so on and so forth. That got more like 2 inches. That's okay. So now I don't need the ruler anymore because I can just hold this piece up against the next piece, and then where they meet I can just cut. And I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to cut a third one, and I'm going to do again, and so on and so forth. So they don't have to be like exactly the same size, but they should be pretty close. This is wire's a little kinky. All right, so let's get this cut right there. So I've got 1 2 3 4 5. We'll do one more. 6. Okay. What I plan on doing is just taking my china piece and then putting it right on there and then wrapping those ends up. But first we're going to put some solder right in this spot. So I don't want to have all that flux soaking into my thing. Did I miss one? Here it is. Nope. All right, so, and I also have to flux the end of these, so I'm just going to use some stained glass flux, and I'm going to just get them all wet. That's enough. They're wet. Now I'm going to put them together again, and they need to touch, so, you know, I'm just going to fuss with them, and I'll be able to, you know, readjust them. When I solder one, they're all going to come apart. So I'm just going to use some lead-free solder. This is just generic lead-free solder. Okay, so I also use fancier versions, but I'm going to also use, like, there's a really old pair of pliers, and then I have my soldering iron. I'm going to try not to get my head in it. But I'm just going to hold the first one and just try to get some solder on there. Solder those two together. Okay. Grab another little bit of solder. And I'm going to just kind of solder that one on next. Good. That's all there is to it. Take another glob of solder. And then you can turn your paper. Makes it easy to turn your project when you have a Alright. It's alright. Just let it sit for a minute. And then I'm just going to turn the whole thing like this. So that's why the paper works very well too, since you can turn the whole thing. Let me just put this here. Alright. So there it is. Now this one. So if you put that solder on there first, that'll often make it easy to work with as well. Got a little bit too much, but that's okay. We'll have a real strong base on here then. And then this one I have to fix. Look at that. There's our star. This one got a little wonky, so I'm gonna apply more flux on that. Alright, so this one, and they're just gonna all come out. Alright, there it is. So that looks pretty good. You always want to wait a minute before you touch it. And then it looks like that. Looks like a spider. Be a really cool spider, right? Alright, so I want to make sure that that's flat enough. So I'm going to grab my trusty rubber stamp and I am going to heat this up and press on this and hope that those just don't, like, you know, scatter everywhere. Hopefully they don't move too much. A little too much there. This one went in too much, but I'm just going to try to repress that. There. And that's going to be like a really cool back to the pendant. So it'll be a pretty neat backside. Put a little bit more on there. Yeah. I like it. Good. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. All right. So as long as there it is, it's gonna like bury those, and that's gonna be our back side. So now you can see that came from my paper. So I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna take a brush and I'm just gonna scrub that off, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, so I washed this off, okay? So you can see, like, the back side doesn't look like they're really in there, but they're in there really good. Like, I can't pull on that and take it apart. But the problem is the wire is too flexible. So I'm going to harden that wire, and I probably should have done that before I soldered it, but c'est comme ça. Put this right on here. Okay. And I'm going to hold it in very carefully. I'm going to tap it. All right, so then I'll flip it over and I'll do it a little bit from the bottom. So now I'm gonna, those ends, a extra little whack on there, flatten that out a bit more. See how that makes like that nice paddle kind of look on there. So, all right, now let's take a look at what it looks like up here. here's what we have. And then I slide in. So now we're going to turn it over and we're going to put our china piece on top. So there's that. And take our china piece. And what I'm going to do is put this on here, and I'm going to find a way where I like it. So I'm actually just going to hold it in my hand. And oh, by the way, these now are like a lot firmer. They're still really bendable, but they're a lot firmer. So I'm just going to play with this, and I'm going to see which way it fits best. So let's pull out a little bit. Okay, we're good, I guess. All right, so I need something here and here, and I'm just going to keep like turning it until I like how it goes. I do want to have one at the top for a bail. Let's see, maybe this way. I mean, it takes me a while to figure this out. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I want to make sure I have the right side down, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold it tight against the back and around the edge with my fingers, very tight like that. Okay, now I'm going to go straight across and do the opposite one, which is going to go this way. Okay, now I'm going to go this way. Now I'm going to go that way, this way, and then this way. Okay, so there I have my pendant. That's what it looks like on the back. Okay, so there's that in the front. So what I want to do is I don't want all these things blocking up the picture on the plate. So I'm going to use a tool and I'm going to roll them back, and then we're going to solder them to give them a, really cool effect. So let's see. I'm going to use my round nose pliers. Okay, these are round nose pliers. These are chain nose pliers. They have a, like a flat jaw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these, and I am going to grab one of these little bits, and I'm going to either roll it up or I can roll it under. And I'm trying to think of which way I want to do it. I think I want to roll it back toward me. So I'm going to just grab that there, and I'm just going to like slowly roll it in like a curly Q. Do you see that? All right. Now I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to roll this one back as well. Just roll it around. Twirl it, twirl it. I don't want to go too far out from my plate. Okay, I was going to make a bail out of this one and I forgot, so I will have to fashion another type of bail. All right, but okay, so we have the idea here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to position them in a way that they still look cool, but that they're not completely covering my tree, but are still, strong and holding it together. There we go. All right. So there's still a little too much in front of the tree for me. But that's still like sturdy. This one I think I might just want to take it and turn it down, like the other direction. Yeah. Okay, so that's better. But, you know, to me, there's still a little too much in the design, but we're going to wait and see how it happens. So now I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm just going to kind of squish this in a little bit. That one actually, I really like the way that one looks. It looks freaking cool. But I'm just going to kind of squish these in so they're not completely... I kind of like the way that looks. I don't know if I want it up or down or what. Actually, I liked it up. And then in like that. Alright, so now I'm going to do some soldering on here. So again, I'm going to get my tools out of the way, paper down, have this, and I'm going to put liquid flux just like on the curly cues. Alright, I'm just going to take like a big glob of solder, like that much, and I'm just going to like put it on there. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm just going to coat that. So I have these like really old pliers. These are really old cutters that they've been on my workbench for a long time. So I'm just going to cut that off. And now it looks so much better already, right? It looks so much better already. So put more flux on there. And then pick up one of these drops. And then I'm just going to put it right on top. Ooh, that got good. And then I want to just check out these a little bit. Let's check out the shape of that. Not too crazy about that shape. Try to redo it a little bit. That's too much. Alright. Like. This one also has got like a weird kind of big shape to it. But I'm going to leave that one go. I kind of like it. Got a bit much on it though. Some of that off. So yeah, pretty awesome, right? Let it dry off. Do you see that? I don't need that soaking into wood around me. So let's just make it like a pretty round kind of. There, that looks pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at them and I want to make sure that they all look about the same size. Looks pretty good. I like it. Now I'm going to go take this and I'm going to wash it. Hot. So I poke myself on. There's the back. Alright, so there's the back. There's our back, and then there's our front. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to add a little bit of glue on here because we want to, it's going to have wiggle, and we didn't want to put glue on it before we soldered it or it'd be like a real stinky thing. So we want to get like a drop of glue like down in there. So a toothpick, E6000, Gorilla Glue Super Glue. I love E6000. That's actually what I'm going to use. Alright, this gobs out pretty quickly, so I'm going to put a tissue here. And I'm just going to like take a gob out and then put the lid right back on. So I'm going to find a spot where I can sneak in there. And I'm just going to lift some glue up like that. And I'm going to just gob it underneath. And then whatever we see that's dried when we're done in the front, like on here, that'll just wipe right off. So don't worry about that. Just try to get some contact in there with some glue. Put a little bit more in there. good. All right, so you can also take your thing and just kind of wipe the extra off of that. There, and that's that. So you can also do the same thing on the front. So I glued this one and I glued this one. This is just like a glue-on bail. You can glue that on and then you have it look like that. So we'll just do that. So I have already a bunch of E6000 out here, and I'm just going to apply that right on there. And not too much, because you don't want it oozing out the sides everywhere. Just like that. And then I'm gonna see where I want it. And I'm just gonna place it on there. I'm just gonna press that down. And that's it. It's gonna glue on there. So you're gonna flip it over and you're gonna let that dry. So yeah, so there's that. Let it dry. And then we'll come back and we'll put our chain on it. Alright, so I've let the pendant set for a few hours, and you can see that the bail is on there. It looks really pretty. So all we're going to do is put a chain on, which is, I'm just using a standard inexpensive chain, and you're just going to thread the chain through the bail and then clasp it. Do this here. Right. And then there's our necklace. So let's bring it in. And then here's our necklace, which is really cool. It's a unique piece of jewelry. And yeah, I think it's awesome. This was a fun project, and next time I'll probably use thicker gauge wire. So as you can see, each project is always a learning process, and it's through trial and error that we discover what works for us and what doesn't. Thanks for joining me for this workshop, and be sure to subscribe and give it a like, and I'll be back soon with a new video. Now, last time I showed you how I created molten solder stamped jewelry components. They are so pretty. Check these out. And next time I'll show you what you can do with them, so you definitely don't want to miss that. Now, in the meantime, click subscribe, click the little bell so you can get notified when I release a new video. And also, be sure to check out my best-selling jewelry instruction books, Boho Chic Jewelry, and Soldered Alchemy. See you next time!